Hello, welcome to this session, session 13 of the Sigma training. My name's Kim Blake and this session is on meters and supply points. I'll show you one slide with the agenda, then I'll move into the live database. So today we're going to have a look at viewing the meter and the supply point details. We'll look at viewing the metering data, so low and high frequency meter readings, how to delete meter data, and how to create walking routes. Then we'll look at editing readings, exporting the data, and then viewing and updating the meters and the supply points in bulk. So in the live database, I've gone to Setup, Configuration, and then Configure Tree. And I'm going to look for my meter. So my meter is called Mains Electricity. And here we have the meter. So when you initially look at the page, you have quite a lot of detail here, including the path for the meter frequency, the cost contract that's associated, the serial number, the MPAN, and the import code, and then some tick boxes for cumulative billing, mains, etc. There's also a date here that tells us the date that the data was last imported up to. So we have data up to the 27th of the 9th. And then we have the tags. So some tags are inherited and some tags are put on by yourselves. So something like electricity is an auto tag because it's an electricity meter that's been set up. It automatically puts the electricity tag on. Same as high frequency. And then it's looking at the tick boxes over here. It is a main meter. It's not cumulative. Therefore, it gives the non-cumulative tag. The green ones are added by me. So they are ones that are unique to each database. So I'm going to edit the meter to show you the details. So I can either right click and configure meter or click on edit. And that opens up a series of tabs all about the meter. And we see those same details. So we've got the path of the meter, meter name, the read frequency, codes, the serial number, the MPAN in the two boxes, and then in the boxed version here. I'm going to go through the rest of the tabs for you, just to give you a brief overview. The contract tab shows us all of the site accounts, so any accounts that are linked to the site that this meter is on. The one that's ticked is the one that's associated with this meter. Got the opportunity to create a meter from here, and you can see the contract that this meter is associated to. So the contract can be used in two ways. It can be used for validation for your billing, or it can be used to do cost analysis on your metering data. So it will take the data that you've put in via the meter and it will use the contract costs, so things like the pence per unit, the standing charge, the VAT, and it will give you cost analysis. This meter is a billing meter, so we have a tick in here. And then we have some fields here that can be filled in, so available capacity, estimated annual consumption, and the TUOS demand. The reading tab tells us that the data source for reporting is meters. So it can either be meter readings or invoice readings. So that determines the reporting. You can add an initial read in here. You can add in your emissions reporting. And then there's some changes that you can make if you've changed your meter type history and your meter number history. So the meter number being the supply point. The rest of the tags are used as and when you need to. So something like targets, you can add in targets and use them for reporting. Added periods can be added in there. So it might be your working week can be added in there and again used for reporting. You can add in notes. So you've got 3 options really down the bottom here. Add in contacts, attachments, and notes. Custom fields is used to add in something that's unique for this meter. So something like floor area. Now that floor area can be time bound. So if that changes, then the new rate or new value can be added in. And then we have the tags that we saw on that front page. So inherited tags, auto tags, and then object tags. So something that we've added in just for this 1 meter. I'll cancel out of there and then show you some of the jump to options. So with the meter highlighted, if we have a look at the drop down here, you can jump to selected areas. So things like move to the alarms, to invoices, to look at the data imports and report schedules. So any one of these, if I click on the arrow, it will open up the relevant page. I'll just use the back button to come back again. So we're going to have a look at some low frequency meter readings. So from the data drop down, meter, and then low frequency. So low frequency is anything daily or above, so daily, weekly, monthly. Normally, we would use monthly meter readings. High frequency, on the other hand, is anything below that daily amount, so typically your half hourly. So this time when we do a search, if I look at the arrow here, it will say that only low frequency meters are shown. So you won't see all of your database. You'll only see those, excuse me, that are low frequency. Now it's held my search that I did earlier, and now my mains electricity is not a low frequency, therefore it's not come up. If I clear the search and we have a look at the General Demo Company, the Southern Region, HQ and head office, you can see these are the meters that I've got that are low frequency. So we'll have a look at the water. So it's put the path in there for me. It's defaulted to the current month. I can go previous or next. And then we've got the details for the meter here. So the meter number, in this case the SPID, and then the serial number. Then we have all of the meter readings that we have for September. So we can see these are daily readings. I use the previous button here. We can go back to August and again see those meter readings. So you have the date, the time, the reading, and then the increase. Any of these can be changed, so you can highlight it, change it, and then save it. High frequency readings, as I said, won't show in this field here. They're best looked at in energy analysis, and we'll be covering that section in another session. So that's in the reporting session. If you want to delete data, if I come back to the data menu and down to delete meter data, again, we'll look at that same meter. So if I select and look at Team Demo, now you can see here that you can do this for high and low frequency meters. So the other meters are now showing. I'll stick with that water meter and add it to my list. And we can see here then we can delete a date range. So you can do that for more than 1 meter. I've just chosen one at the moment. If you've got more than one, you can see all the matching meters. You can delete all of the data that's in those meters. So if you've done an import and it's not the right data, you could delete it all, or you can do a date range. If I remove that meter, come back to the path. If I come back down to, let's say, head office and add to the list, we can see the site is there. If I look at the matching meters, it will show me all the meters that I've selected. I could also filter to electricity tag, for instance, and then view the matching meters. I'm going to move to looking at walking routes. So walking routes are used within Express, and it just means that you can then see just the meters that you want to within a particular group. So we've already got one that's been created here. If you're adding a new one, it would be the add button. We can see there's 2 meters in this walking group or route. If I edit, you can see how it's made up. So we've got a group name. It's looking for the meter name as the identifier, and it's displaying the site meter code, the site dot meter code and the path. And these are the 2 meters that have been chosen. So I'm not going to change anything in there. I'll just close from there, but you can have more than one route. So if one person goes and reads a particular 10 meters, they could have that route and they would be able to see just those 10 meters and add in then the meter readings. If we were editing meter readings, if I come back to the data menu and come down to site readings, we can choose a path again in here or that walking group. If I go to that walking group, we can see the 2 meters that are in that walking group. Alternatively, I can select a path. So when you have these pop-ups and you see a path, you'll notice the OK button. If it's something that you can't click on, you'll see you highlight it and the OK won't be available. In this instance, it's letting me choose that path. I'm going to come down to the head office, the OK button. And then we see different meters in here. Again, if I want to go back to the walking route, I can take that path out and come back to my walking route. So this is monthly. We would be looking at the September, which is the current month, or I can do a different month. And then you've got your previous and your next. So if this meter reading wasn't correct, I could amend it. If we don't have a reading in here, I could add one in. So we have the meter details, date of the previous reading, and the value. Exporting the data is done within the reporting section. So reporting, analysis, and then data export. Now I'll explain how you create templates in the reporting section, but this is where we would use a template in this instance. So to create that file, you need to have a template. As I said, how to create templates is explained within the reporting section, but if I take the path out of here. There are some that I've already created on my database. So we've got some descriptions in here, and I'll just show you one as an example. So highlight the template and load it, and that pre-fills the analysis here. So it's telling me what path I'm using, what format I'm using, what period I'm using. If I generate that file, and then we can see the file that's been created. So we've got some different meters in here. If I just scroll down, you'll see that that changes, and then all the values to the right-hand side. So it does need to have a template to be able to do that report, and that's explained in the reporting section. Moving on to viewing those meters and supply points in bulk, there's a couple of things that we can do. So if I go back to the setup menu, to configuration, and then mass edit meters. So we've got our path in here. If I do the double arrows, it removes that path and shows me everything. Or you select a particular path. You can filter if you've got filters set up. You can filter to a supplier, to a contract, to meter type. So you could just show your electricity, for instance, your different types of meters, and a revenue contract if you're using tenant billing. Now I found 15 meters under this path. If I highlight one, I could individually edit that meter. And update it. Alternatively, it might be something that you want to do in bulk, so you can either individually tick the ones you want to change or select all using the top tick box, and then mass edit selected items. And in here, we can then do any changes that you want to do in bulk. So for instance, if you hadn't set a primary GHG scope and you've chosen all of your appropriate meters, you could change it to the scope and then update. So you update each one individually. So if you want them all to be billing meters, you would tick and update. If you wanted all the same reading frequency, and then update. I'm just going to close from there. So that's making some changes in bulk. Individually, you can choose one individually or choose all of them. If you wanted to make some other changes, we can do that through a different method. So if I go to Setup and Import Export Configuration Tree, this allows you to export your whole database. So you can choose your path. So let's choose Head Office and Export. So you'll see here it says if nothing's chosen, it will do the whole tree. I've chosen just the Head Office and it's exported. It exports a zip file, and in that zip file, you've got all of that data. We just look at the meters, and then you can see all of the data for the meter. If you wanted to update this file, that can be done. So the meter ID is unique, you wouldn't change that. You could change the path if you were moving your meters from one site to another, if you were renaming them, etc. Once you've done those changes, you would come back in to the import-export configuration. You would choose what you're importing. So let's say meters. Choose your file and then run the import. And that will import your updates. Alternatively, you can download a template, but it's easier to have your exported version because you've got everything that you need within that within those columns. So we've looked at a few different things in this session. So I've started from configure tree, and that's where we looked at the meter themselves and the details. So by editing the meter and seeing all of those tabs, so your general, contract, reading, etc. I've shown you the jump to option, where you can choose where you want to go to, and then use the arrow to move to that particular screen. We've looked at the low frequency meter readings, where you can view your readings. We've looked at deleting data, so the delete meter data page. We've looked at creating walking groups, so the walking groups are used within the Express. And somebody might just have the access to Express and they need to go and read a certain amount of meters once a month. That will give them that route. We've looked at editing meter readings in the site readings. And we've looked at exporting the data, so the reporting menu and down to data export. I then showed you the in bulk options. So you've got mass edit meters and import export the tree configuration. There are help files on all of that. So I've got the manual open here, and within the data menu and meter, you can see those pages that we've just looked at. So the low frequency meter readings, adding data, etc. Thank you for your time. I'll speak to you again shortly.